Coming up on That's a Great Point.
Sabay, sabay. It's easy. It's fine. No problem. I don't know. I think I left a lot of my backpacks. Backpacks meaning like emotional burdens and just there's a realization that some of the shit that we tell ourselves matters or that I've been telling myself matters just doesn't. It's not about any of those things. I get to drop in and be me and I don't have to try. I just am.
Hmm.
That's how I feel when I'm there.
Hmm.
I'm not trying. I'm just immersed into an experience that is unknown to me. I mean, even though I've been there, this is my fifth time, it's always unknown to me there. I never know what's going to happen or what we're going to do. All I know is that whatever it is, it's going to be a kind-hearted experience,
Hmm.
a cultural experience, and something that is going to invite transformation on some level.
Hey there, neighbor. Today, Michelle is back from her nearly month-long trip to Thailand, where she's going to share some of the learnings and wisdoms she picked up on her journey, not the least of which being how she was able to take her backpack full of worry and burden and set it to the side for a little while. I had the opportunity to learn what a ladyboy show is, and after hearing it described, I remembered how I involuntarily witnessed a ladyboy show at one time. It's not for me. We have our second roundtable discussion today, where each of us shares 3 learnings around what we've picked up during our travels across the globe. If you find our information helpful, useful, and like it, please like and subscribe so others can find us more easily. Thanks so much for playing along. Enjoy. Welcome to That's a Great Point, the attitude adjustment for your soul, where co-hosts Alina Doran, Michelle Aalbers, and Lee Smart discuss deep topics around a life well lived. Let's start the show. Are you sure? You sure?
So sure.
Always sure.
Woohoo! Welcome back to America.
So yeah. So when I first came to the States and I didn't speak English, people would assume that I'm hard of hearing. Not just that I don't speak the language. So they would say really loud to me with intention to sound welcoming, like "Welcome to America. Welcome to our country. It's so good to see you."
It's good to be here.
So you've
All
been
right. I
away
guess for summary, Michelle has been in Thailand for a month,
Almost.
almost a month. Well, I mean, I haven't seen you in a month, so it's been like torture for a month. I've been falling apart. Like my whole life has just disintegrated since you've been gone. It's been terrible. I don't know what to do without you.
I don't believe you.
I'm having abandonment issues and everything.
I'm just gonna say I miss you.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, what she said.
Yeah. I missed you guys for sure.
mhm.
Tell us about the trip.
Oh my gosh. I am like a puddle when I go to Thailand. I arrived, I bawled, I left, I bawled. It's like always super emotional for me. And I didn't know. So our host, who is a friend, we made friends in 2018, kind of just became family, sent me a picture of our driver who was going to pick us up at the airport. And then when I left the airport to go to find the ride, she was standing there and just, I lost it. I was like, it's you, you're here, you came to get us. And I like give her this big old hug and I'm sobbing and everybody that's with us is like, what the hell? I'm like, I told you I was going to cry. Like I knew I was going to cry when I got there, but like, I didn't know she was going to meet us. So it was super touching. And I was just like, I mean, you're on planes for over 24 hours. I was super overtired, drunk, tired, completely just lost it. And then we got to the place, it was like 11:30 at night. She gives us a warm Thai welcome, sits us down, gives us some fresh fruit, some butterfly pea flour, tea, and then some Norwegian, like I call them rosettes. There's a billion different names for them, and then gives everybody like their swag bags basically. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? It's almost midnight. And then she gave us the blessing, like this, they do these, the monks do blessings, and also it's a tradition in homes as well, and like goes around the table, and then said this touching thing to me, and I started sobbing again. It's like, I gotta go to bed. Like, this is ridiculous. But the whole trip was magical, and it was made magical not only by the location, but also by the people in it. And I didn't have like specific expectations, but holy shit, talk about getting spoiled and the true local immersive experience. I mean, it was ridiculous in the best ways.
I'm curious about the immersive part. Like, as you get immersed, what stands out about it?
You know, it's funny. Kun A, name of our host, asked Dan what it was about Thailand that he loved so much. And he said, you haven't lost your culture. Like so many places you go to, it's been influenced, or, you know, or like they try and Americanize it for Americans when they visit, and he's like, you don't do that. You stay true to your culture. And we find that beautiful. And I think that's part of it. I mean, it's just, they're excited to show you how they live and their traditions and their foods and all of those things. All you have to do is ask and show that you're open to it, and they will take you as far as you're willing to go. And it's freaking amazing.
What are the best? I mean, give us like a highlight. It's like the best of the best.
One of the, I can't do a best of the best because it's like there were so many moments, but there was one day that was absolutely comical and magical at the same time. Kune was like, okay, we're gonna go to the mountains tomorrow, and you know, and then Pilu, who is like, he's basically the chef there, but he does all the things. He's amazing. He was like, okay, so it'll be like a couple hours or whatever. And we're like, we don't know if that means a couple hours away, a couple hours we're gonna be gone. We don't know. And Kun A had told one of the girls with us that it was gonna be a half hour. So we get in the truck. There's like like 5 people in the truck, and then 2 of us were sitting in the back, me and the girl who she told it was going to be a half hour. We're like sitting, I haven't been in the back of the truck since the 70s. It was amazing. Like, we're sitting in the open end back of the truck, facing backwards, like staring at the cars behind us. You know, it was awesome driving up a mountain. And that was at maybe, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 11. And I shit you not, we're in the back of the truck coming down from the mountain, which the whole mountain experience was a whole thing. Amazing. I'll tell that story another day or another time. But we're coming down from the mountain. She goes, Michelle, she looked me in the eye and told me this was going to be a half an hour. The sun is setting. It's like, yep, welcome to Thailand. Like, they don't, like, she loves to just take you on an adventure. You say yes, you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. You're just all in on whatever it is. And there's a lot of unknown. And when you're like used to structure and a schedule and like, oh, okay, we're going to do this thing at this time. It's it's like forced. Like, there was another tour we had, and the tour guy goes, no choice. She was just like, we're doing this thing next. No choice. You don't get to pick. And I'm like, I love fucking Thailand. It's no choice. It's forced surrender in the best way.
That's
love
that's
that.
what I was about to say. Surrendering to the moment, surrendering control, and how hard that is for especially we Americans to surrender control and actually just go with the flow. Like, I love the teachings of the Tao Te Ching, and becoming the water, as if you mold yourself to fit your vessel rather than trying to change the vessel to fit whatever it is that you want. It's beautiful, beautiful, that forced surrender. And it really is a way better way to go about life, and that the anxiety that we typically experience all day just kind of melts away. It's like, oh, I'm just going for the ride. I don't have to control all the different outcomes.
Yeah. It was super cool. Another really cool experience was the Andy Ricker dinner. I It was so magical. But the coolest part well, maybe not the coolest part, but one of the coolest parts that happened is when we left the dinner the next day, Kune pulled me aside and she said, Michelle, you changed Pilu. Like, I'm like, I hope for the best. She's like, yes. She's like, your invitation to that dinner changed him. He is not holding back on the food he's serving. Like today, he served his traditional Northern Thai Karen tribe foods when he's normally like he caters to the American a little bit or wherever his guests are from. He like holds back from their traditional dishes thinking they won't like it. But he literally witnessed our entire group sitting with Andy Ricker cooking his twist on traditional Thai foods, and we all loved it and like praised it. And then he was like, well, and then it was like, I'm like, dude, you were holding back on us. The food, excuse me, the food was magical. I mean, it was good before, but after that, I'm like, dude, tell me about this. What is this? What are these flavors? This is incredible. It was so cool. It was so cool. And I'm like, all because of one invitation to one dinner with a magical human to start with. Like Andy Ricker has mastered his craft. I will say that. The food was out of this world. And I had said in my email, kill us with food. Dan wants you to kill us with food. And he totally ignored it. And then we got there and he's pouring champagne. He's like, I was told I was supposed to kill you with food. So hang on, we're going on a 12-course ride plus desserts. And I was like, holy fuck, what's happening right now? It was so cool.
I love that. I love how you inspired someone to come out full force and show their full flavor, be authentic, and how much more joyful and enjoyable it is for everyone when we come out with our full flavor.
It was like the next day, he's like, let's go to the market together. And he takes us all to the market and is like showing us things. And he bought all these different things. And we went back to home base and he like kept bringing us snacks. But it was like, you know, it was all the stuff he had bought at the market. He's like, okay, and then there's this, and then there's that. And here's how you eat this, and here's how you eat that. And it was, I don't know. I mean, we labeled it a Live Like a Local Foodie tour, and it was 100% that and more.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I want to move there. I knew I wanted to move there. I knew I wanted to live there. And I'm like, oh, we need to move up this timeline. That this is not home. That is home. I'm home when I'm there.
Huh.
That's quite a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Describe
When did you
home.
have that realization first?
Oh, look, we're talking over each other. I was actually wondering if you could describe what home means.
Oh, wow. That's a big, big question. Here's what I know. I know when I get there, it's like my backpack comes off. There's a heaviness, a weight that for some reason goes away. And I drop in and I feel, I don't know, there's a wholeness that happens when I'm there. I don't even know how to explain it. And it's not just because like I get that I'm halfway across the world and it's easy for me to be like, okay, all of my obligations at home are on hold right now and I get to just drop in and be, but I was there working. I didn't know how that would feel to me. And I legitimately was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm still home. I just, the people there, that's a big part of it. But the people here are also home for me. But I don't know, there is something about that culture and the way they show up and how they live and how I feel in my energy when I'm there, where I'm just like, I'm supposed to be here for longer than 2.5 weeks. And then when I leave, it's just like, I mean, I cry so long every time I leave. I cry for so long. And then I'll look at pictures or someone will say something or I'll get a message from one of the people and I just start crying again. I don't know. And I'm not like sad, like depressed. I'm just like aching for the place. I don't know. I go back all the time in my brain and in my being, right? Like I can drop into Thailand and my memories and all of that. And I don't foresee myself living there year round, but not being there for 6 years and then dropping in and recognizing how much love I have for that place was palpable and immense. I mean, one of the girls on the trip was like, I think I understand you a little bit better now, Michelle. She's like, you talk about Thailand and you're different when you talk about it. She's like, but being here with you, I think I get it on a new level. I'm like, I don't know how to put it into words. I just know when we were leaving, I had a conversation with the host And she said, "What do you want from Thailand?" And I'm like, I didn't understand the question. I just started bawling and I said, "Thailand's my home. I don't want anything from Thailand. Everything I want is already here." And she was just like, "Okay." I still don't know what she was asking. I don't really know what the point of that question was, but my only answer was, I don't want anything from Thailand. Thailand is my home. I don't know.
It sounds like your cup was filled.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's not like a relaxing trip. It's active relaxation. There's always an opportunity to say yes to something,
Mhm.
which is cool.
So I'll rephrase the question a little bit. How do you bring Thailand home? That feeling, that sense of joy, that sense of this is where I belong. How do you bring that to America?
I mean, I still have it right now. Ask me
Yeah.
in a month. You know what I mean? It's like in the now, I have it. It's like it's funny. One of the a new person that we met there who happened to be from Minnesota who is now becoming a Thai resident. It's like crazy how the world works. He's
Mhm.
gonna have a lot of information for us. That's gonna be great. But he was like, I can't even remember what I was gonna say just now. I just totally lost it. Oh, he goes, "I hope you brought some of your heart home because you sure did leave a lot of it here." He's like, "I know the people at home need it too." I was like, "Oh, don't worry. I got a big old heart. Like, I'm not worried about leaving my heart in Thailand. Like, it can come both places. It's a two-way street there." Um, but it was kind of interesting because I literally just met him and he was like, "You just like, it's different there." But I do bring it home. I mean, it's funny. I said to Dan, I said, some of the things Kune was saying to me, I'm like, she's describing what I do here, but people here don't necessarily see or know what I do in the same way. Like she very quickly was like, "Michelle, there's so many different things she said of like how I changed her people and her. And there was a night where they were having dinner and they invited the person who was Pilu the last time we were there. They knew I was really connected to her and they brought her in for dinner. And she was standing with the rest of her crew in the kitchen and she came over and she puts her arm around me and she goes, "The family's all here." And I said, "Does that make you happy?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, good." And then I'm thinking, well, why does it take me to get the family together?
Hmm.
But she's like, "You're a catalyst. You inspire change." And I was just like, that's how I describe myself in the US. But people don't say it to me like that. I don't know. It was a really cool experience, the whole damn trip.
What are you bringing with you?
Meaning here?
Mhm. Back to America.
Yeah. There's definitely a softness
Mm.
that had kind of gone away for a while, like less stress in a weird way. How are you gone for 2.5 weeks and feel less stressed when you get back? Like I have a shit ton of things to do, but like sabai sabai, it's easy, it's fine, no problem. I don't know. I think I left a lot of my backpacks. Backpacks meaning like emotional burdens and just there's a realization that some of the shit that we tell ourselves matters or that I've been telling myself matters just doesn't. It's not about any of those things. I get to drop in and be me and I don't have to try. I just am.
Hmm.
That's how I feel when I'm there.
Hmm.
I'm not trying. I'm just immersed into an experience that is unknown to me. I mean, even though I've been there, this is my fifth time, it's always unknown to me there. I never know what's going to happen or what we're going to do. All I know is that whatever it is, it's going to be a kind-hearted experience,
Mhm.
a cultural experience, and something that is going to invite transformation on some level. And I don't know how to explain that doesn't happen in the same way here. Like this is known and comfortable, and that is known and uncomfortable in a beautiful, welcoming, embracing way.
Beautiful.
It reminded me of one of my favorite lyrics by a band called 12 Foot Ninja. Nothing that I have to do to be who I am.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
They're
it.
from they're from Australia, so it's like a completely different mindset on that side of the world. I know Australia is not going to have the same mindset as Thailand, but there is some of that almost feels like a Buddhist way of thinking in a lot of ways, and that we are at peace and just trying to be at peace is the ultimate goal, to be one with all. Um, it's actually kind of neat, and that I'll share some of it in a little bit when we get to our roundtable, but some of my experiences around travel and what I've learned, especially going up into some of the poorer parts of the South where I live. It's like, ooh, wow. There's a lot of opposition. There's a lot of othering. There's a lot of trying to hold people down. And I've noticed that people for the most part in those environments are just not happy.
Mm.
You can walk into a convenience store and they look at you like, what the fuck you doing here? How dare you interrupt my time of sitting around and uh not being interrupted by you dreadful customers.
Yeah. Ugh. You talked about Buddhism. It's funny. We were driving to another city. Kune was taking us on another adventure that we didn't know really what was going to happen there. And she goes, Michelle, you talked about monk chats. What do you do there? And I'm like, what? And she goes, what do you do at a monk chat? I'm like, well, it's a good way for them to practice English, to share their philosophy, and to just like, you can ask them any questions you want. And she goes, oh, so like, what do you ask them? And I'm like, well, I haven't gone this year, but in past experiences, I kind of broke them down and told her what we did. And she goes, a lot from you. She's like, I grew up this way. Like, this is just what I do. She goes, I can't imagine going to talk to a monk. She goes, when I go to the monks, we talk and we know each other. We ask how we are and we give our alms and she's like, it's different. We're in a community. She's like, I wouldn't think to ask them a question. She said, so that's really interesting. And I was just like, I love how inquisitive she is. And I
Hmm.
love how she like ponders these things. And she's like, you're teaching me a lot. And I'm just like, how am I teaching you things? Like, I learned so much from you. And then I'm like, well, we're a perfect connection because we're both open to learning from each other. And it's such a beautiful thing because it's organic and we're just in flow. It's not like I have to learn a thing from this human. It's more like I'm curious about this thing that you chose to do. Tell me more about that. So it
Mm.
happens in like this casual conversation versus like, I don't know. I think sometimes maybe this is a great way to put how I feel about Thailand versus how I feel about here. I feel like in Thailand, I drop in and I'm in flow and it evolves naturally, organically. And here I feel like I have to reach. And part of that is the culture of how we show up as humans here versus how they show up as humans there.
Mhm.
How do we show up as humans here?
I don't know. I just keep hearing the word guarded and protected, afraid of losing something or giving too much away. And there, it does not feel like that at all. They
Hmm.
want to introduce you to their culture and how they show up and what they're doing and why they're doing it and how they're doing it. And it doesn't have like this guarded, protective feeling to it. It feels open.
I had a
I don't know if that's super
conversation.
accurate, but
Yeah,
Mm.
I had a conversation yesterday with a lady from Mauritius, which is an island in the Indian Ocean east of Madagascar. And she was talking about how when she grew up, most of the people that she grew up around had a garden of some sort, and they would all just give each other things from each other's gardens. And if somebody needed a tool, they would go ask the neighbor, and they would just willingly give. And so it was actually community based. If one person got sick, then somebody else from the community would come and take care of that person. There was a nurse that came to help her dad whenever he had a stroke that was of the community. So it was very community based, and she felt talking about how safe she felt in that environment, and how she was able to blossom and grow in ways that and then she mentioned how in London this lady had died in her flat and was there for 2 years before they found her.
oh my gosh.
And that's how separated and isolated we managed to make ourselves in our culture, especially the more technology driven we are, the more we tend to separate from each other. And we live in the virtual world versus living in the real world. And like most of us don't even know our neighbors.
Yeah, there's like walls up.
Yeah. We
I
might
mean,
we might wave at each other from across the hall, but we don't actually know each other. Um,
Yeah.
it's we've managed to lose technology, we've managed to lose quite a bit of true human connection. You could see it from like 2010, 2011, and 2012 onwards. Anxiety and depression rates have skyrocketed. You see some of the graphs, especially amongst teenagers. The graphs shoot almost straight up after that time period. And that's whenever front-facing phones, social media, Instagram, so on and so forth, Snapchat, that's when all that was released. And then anxiety and depression goes almost straight up.
That's a whole conversation that we can get into about
Mm-hmm.
the young forming minds and what's happened, the impact of social media and technology when it's used in a harmful way and overused. But what I'm thinking about, that human connection, just that simplicity of building a community where you are, and how much agency we have, and how much is available to us to create connection with our neighbors. So my neighbors and I I live in a big building with lots of walls, lots of opportunities to not get to know each other as neighbors. We used to have like wine nights actually during lockdowns, during COVID lockdowns. It started and we continued it past. And it was wonderful. We would come out of our apartments into the communal hallway and like step out and have a glass of wine. This was still at a time of social distancing. So we would stand at our doors, lean out into the hallway and talk to each other and do a virtual cheers and have like a half-hour conversation with each other. And then we would go back inside. You know, small connections, like coming to someone's home. Like I would make too much, I don't know, banana bread, and I would bring a slice to my neighbor and like leave it on a plate for her. And she would come out like a half hour later and pick it up. 5 minutes later, pick it up. She would bake something, leave it for me. We'd come to each other for ingredients. So the how much is available to us in these tiny little steps, right? Of like knowing that you can text your neighbor and ask them if they have extra milk because you're baking something, or like an extra cup of flour. It brings me so much joy when a neighbor came by in my new home with like barefoot. She walked down the hallway barefoot with a cup because she was making banana bread. Banana bread's a big thing in New York City, apparently. And she ran out of walnuts. So she came like with a bowl, holding a bowl with two hands and barefoot to my home. And I filled her cup, literally, figuratively, with pecans. So we decided she was going to do pecans instead. And I said to her, do you know how happy this makes me? Like seeing you come into my home barefoot with a bowl, like knowing that you can reach out to me for a missing ingredient. It's such a point of connection, and it's so easy. It's so small. It's no big deal, right? It's awesome. We have so much choice in this world to connect with others. And it's so easy to forget that today more than ever. No, more than ever. It's so easy to forget.
I love what you had to say, and I'm stewing on the fact that you said pecans instead of pecans like a normal person.
Define normal.
That's the thing that stuck out to me the most.
Of everything you said,
I heard it too.
Of everything you've shared, it's your pronunciation of pecans or pecans. We don't do pecans. Michelle, how do you say it?
I'm with Lee on this one.
Okay. Cool. I have a feeling they're both right. I'm going to be Googling that afterward. That's very funny.
Yeah. But as terrible as COVID was, it did something phenomenal, and that it proved to a whole lot of people how important it is to have community, to have people that you can lean on and rely on, and how important it is just to have a tribe. That's unbelievably important, especially for mental health. Because you look at 2020 when COVID lockdown started, how mental health went straight down. Um,
Oh, that's a whole other episode.
yeah. It's
Yeah, it's a lot to say
yeah.
there. Yeah,
So how y'all feel like getting into the round table?
I feel good about it.
Yeah,
Miss
you do.
Thailand, how do you feel about it?
Sure. I'm all about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna leave it to ladies first this time.
You want to leave it to ladies first? Okay.
I'm gonna hold the door
So
open for you.
I appreciate it.
Even though you said pecans, we'll let it slide.
I did. It's on record. They're delicious, by the way. You should try some pecans. So I'm thinking, as we're talking about Michelle's incredible journey, figuratively and literally, to Thailand, it might be helpful for us to talk about any learnings from travels that we have either integrated in the past or we are in the process of integrating into our everyday lives. So thinking that's going to be helpful for our viewers and listeners. A little outside perspective.
Take it away, boss. What's your number one?
I'll start. I'll say number one is observe the swirl. So I love when I first get to a new place, I love to watch the others on a weekday when they're going about their everyday lives. So I'm not in a museum, I'm not in a special attraction. I'm watching the local residents go on about their lives, go to work, go to school. And I love to watch the busyness and the swirl that they're in. And as I get to be an observer and an outsider to that, I get really still. I get really still watching all the busyness happen. And what I've done with that is take it into my life here at home. And I take that perspective of I can be still in my swirl. Like in my everyday, going to work, going to this, going about daily chores. I can do them with stillness. That's my number one.
Step out and observe.
I like it.
You want my number one?
I want your number one, Michelle. I do.
Pack light, figuratively, metaphorically, and physically. I learned, I think it was on our like almost 2-month trip. I packed only a carry-on. They can do laundry there. I can buy what I need there. The big heavy suitcase is just more burden, more stuff, more crap I don't need, and weighs me down. And what I'm realizing is it's not just my stuff I'm packing light. I'm also preparing before I go on a trip so that I can leave my stress at home. I can decide how I want to show up. Do I want to pull all my crap forward into my trip, or do I want to leave that at home? It's still going to be there when I get back. And when I get back, I might have a new perspective on it. And so I really think packing light with your backpack of heavy emotional burdens, stressful burdens, daily life burdens, as well as what you're putting in your suitcase. Like, what do you really need? That's it. Only bring that.
Beautiful.
I like it. I like it. All right, so I took a slightly different approach in that my first two are going to be observations that I've noticed on my travels versus actual learnings. What I have observed was that many cultures are far more accepting of others than what I grew up with. For instance, at my grandfather's funeral, highly Baptist area, in the middle of his service, the pastor said, "Hey, for all those that don't find Jesus, may they burn in hell." And my wife and I looked at each other like, whoa. This is unbelievable. It just blew me away that we're going to other people so bad. And like Jesus taught the exact opposite, love others. And it's through that love, then you can have the opportunity to attract others to you. To other people and to set them as wrong because they don't believe the same thing that you do is the surest way to make sure that you set them apart from you. That's not going to attract them closer. It's more likely to push them away. That's that fear-based motivation that just drives me nuts. It so drives me nuts to other and to push away and to set people apart as being wrong or less than. So that's my takeaway, that being accepting of others is more likely to bring you more, to attract people.
I love it. I love it. I'll go with my number 2. Glamorize your life. And here's what I mean by that. When I travel and I observe others in their everyday life, I'm fascinated and it's interesting to me because it's different. And I'm seeing their life through a fresh lens that they don't get to see because that's their normal. And so taking that, like glamorizing, sitting in a chair, looking out a window, sipping coffee, it looks so romantic and interesting and just wonderful looking at someone else's life. So taking the glamorizing of my own life is another learning that's been incredible in my life. So the smallest parts of my life that may seem mundane to me, to an observer, they feel pretty fantastic. So glamorizing your life, what it also does is it just really boosts gratitude and enjoyment and being present in the moment, like catching yourself. You know how people have triggers? People also have glimmers, like little thoughts that make you spark and make you happy. They do the opposite of what a trigger would do. And so glamorizing my life creates those sparks.
I like that idea of glimmers, to bring as many glimmers into the world as possible to light other people up.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get a fuck yeah?
Fuck yeah. Okay, my number 2, say yes. This is coming from the perspective of you're in a safe space with trusted people, and also travel to, especially to places unknown, invites transformation. And there will be the bits of you that want to come in and keep you stuck and invite you to say no. And I'm saying say yes, because these experiences that you say no to are not recreatable. Then there was a couple instances where half the group or parts of the group said no to things and then regretted it. It was like then instant FOMO after they got back and found out what we actually did, because it was said we were going to the market, but first we're going to stop for a quick drink and end up at a ladyboy show. But nobody knew that was happening. You know what I mean? And so it's just like these say yes, even if you're tired, even if you want to say no. These, you can do more than you think you can do, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity perhaps. So say yes to all the things, and know that transformation is inevitable when you're traveling to foreign places, and your hackles will go up, even if it's on a subconscious level, to stop that. So go in with the intention perhaps to encourage and invite yourself and even challenge yourself to say yes to those things that are sometimes scary even.
Did you say ladyboy show?
I did.
I have to know more.
I have an amazing story about it too.
Y'all want to save it
ladyboy
for after the round table?
Yeah, we
'Cause I need
can.
to
We
hear
can.
this.
Yeah, we can. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm having a very hard time not making another number two joke, so I'm just gonna go on. I have noticed that the poorer the area that I travel to, the more repressed people seem to be. And what I mean by that is the more trailers, the more junk in the yards, the more run down everything looks. If I go into gas station, restaurant, so on and so forth in these areas, people are less likely to look you in the eye. They're less likely to engage in conversation. They almost look like what a beat dog would look like whenever they just kind of tuck their tail and just eyes down, don't look, no eye contact. And I think my takeaway from that is the more we isolate and the more we repress others and hold them down, the more we hold everybody down in the community. The greatest communities are more than likely going to be building each other. So the more we lift each other up, the better off we all become. Because I've noticed if I travel to more affluent areas, people are typically a little bit more joyful, a little bit more open with conversation, much more likely to look you in the eye. Um, so there's this kind of jovial energy that we're going to lift each other up, and the better you become, the better I become, and so on and so forth. So that hold somebody down, we hold everybody down. Lift somebody up, we lift everybody up, including ourselves.
Can I make a comment about that with regard to Thailand?
Yeah.
Because it's a great example of like some of the questions you guys were asking me earlier. And I think it's kind of cool because we went to 2 different villages in the mountains this time.
Mhm.
And both places, and same thing with the last time I was in a mountain village, very remote, not affluent, right? Were some of the happiest eyes I've ever seen.
Mhm.
But to your point, they're a village, they're a community, they support each other as a whole. It's not an individual doing a thing and doing their own thing. It is literally, I mean, into 2018, when I was in a village, the whole community came together in one house to cook and we all ate together. It was magical.
Mhm.
So, yes, and because it's like the happiest eyes I've seen in Thailand were in the remote villages that are living as a community.
Yeah.
But that's the difference, like culturally, like here, you go there and it is everybody fighting for themselves. It's one against all. And it is absolutely not that way.
Mhm. I'm glad you brought that because I guess in my mind, I've already kind of assumed that wealth means joy, happiness, togetherness, and not necessarily money.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll add really quickly to that. There's a great documentary on Netflix about the blue zones. I think it's called Live to 100. And a reporter went around the world and traveled to places where people live to 100 or older more than anywhere in the world. So there are hot spots. We have a couple in America too. I was slightly surprised to find out. And the thing that unites them is not wealth. It's not financial wealth. It is very much wealth of kindness and community and connection. Very much so. And eating well. Like
Mhm.
make your own food and don't eat crap. And be with people
Mhm.
or who need you, who talk to you, who you connect to, who you can laugh with, who care. So that's the short fit. So yeah, that's how do you define wealth? Another thing to define.
Yeah.
So number 3, I feel like we need for this segment, we need drum roll, we need effects, special effects, right? Feel small to feel love. And here's what I mean by that. When I am away from my home somewhere else, I'm often reminded of how big the world is, how small our planet is, how we're part of something so much bigger. There's something so much bigger than like my city, my home, my life, my problems, that we are, and that everyone around me has their own small world. And so for a moment, I feel like this, I'm reminded that I'm a very small part of a huge connective tissue of humanity. And I feel a swell of, I feel so connected to humans in their struggles and in their joy, cross cultures, wherever I've gone. I'm reminded that we want and need the same things in the end. And when I take that home into everyday life, I am able to find love for humanity while waiting in line at a supermarket. I am able to find love for humanity in a crowded subway car or waiting for a really long time for a delayed train. So it's very impactful. Feel small to feel love. That's my number 3. Michelle, what's yours?
Beautiful. Mine is be present, which ties into number 1 and number 2. And we heard it from every tour guide. We heard it from our host. It's a part of the Buddhist practice. But it's not just about the Buddhist practice, right? If you're present when you're saying yes to the thing that terrifies you, if you're really, truly present in that moment, you're not forward thinking into what you might be afraid of, and you're not back thinking into past experiences that have caused some sort of something to make you feel some kind of way about it. And so what do you need in this moment? Can you be in awe and wonderment of what's happening around you? Can you be inquisitive? Can you be mindful and intentional? It's just like being present in that moment. I don't know. Maybe that's another reason I love Thailand. I have a way easier time being present and in the moment when I'm there. It's just easier for me. And I don't necessarily know why. And maybe if I think about it, I can break it down, but I don't know that I need to. I just think I can set the intention that I would like to show up in a present way here as well and dance that dance and see how that feels here. Because there, it's easy.
That's beautiful. I'm reminded of this quote, and I don't remember that many quotes from books. This one really stood out, by Louise Hay. The point of power is always in the present moment. It's what we have accessible, available to us. It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Bring us home.
You guys,
All right.
bring us home.
I am going to try and do this quickly because I need to hear about this ladyboy story. All right. So went to a retreat in Vermont with some of my favorite people on the planet. Specifically Ken Malseman, the leader of the Integrated Adult Man program. And one of the gentlemen in that retreat started expressing some concern whenever I was starting to talk about my work habits and how I just want to sit down, I want to do this thing and go all out and get it done and into the flow state, so on and so forth. And whenever this gentleman expressed concern about my work habits, they started probing me with questions and so they're trying to really drill down into what is it that's going on in my head. And I always had a really cool argument to pop up with defending my habits, even though, because I'm thinking in my head, this is a good thing. Working is good, right? Doing all these things is good. And finally, Ken says, it's very difficult to have a conversation when the addict is in the room because everything he says makes sense. Blew my ass away. Like I had nothing else to say after that because he hit it on the head. My wanting to get into the flow state and continue to stay there for as long as possible, all that was just another way to enter the swirl of, man, this rush feels really damn good. Need to get my fix. Got into that flow state so I can get my fix. And that thought of I'm working myself to death hasn't left me because it's a very addictive personality. I've had to overcome many, many substances over the years. And then now I'm coming to find out what I think is a good thing. I've done it with exercise too. Hell, exercise is a good thing. Come to find out, I got addicted to that as well, just because of the rush that comes with it, that extreme endorphin rush, all the chemicals that come with, I did something amazing. And it ends up depleting me. And I justify it because it's a good thing. And it's come to find out it's not. So that's why I fight the battle against workaholism like I do, because it's just another freaking addiction. Another way to escape reality. So with that, we wrap up the roundtable. Go.
Go. Do you mean go take you down the Lady Boys show road? Is that what you mean?
Oh God, I can't wait. Let's do it. I need to know
Did you
about
have
it.
something else in mind?
Because you know what? When you said it, what the picture that flashed off in my head was like a donkey show from Mexico. So that's where my brain went.
No, no.
No, no.
They are ridiculously good. I mean, we walked in and we were in the back and they're like, no, come sit here. And we had a front and center. And it's like, it's no joke. I mean, they're lip syncing, they're dolled up and gorgeous. And I looked at Dan and I go, I've never seen anybody lip sync this good. I think they must sing along. And then we were close enough that I heard one of them singing along. Like they are singing along, like out loud. And it's just everything about it is magical and beautiful and and stunning. I mean, stunning. And we didn't get to go this time with Louis. Louis is the one who introduced us to this particular place. And if he's sitting next to you, will sing along and dance and to every song as well, which just amplifies the whole experience. It's just, I mean, they go all out and it's absolutely incredible. And the place is packed and, yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those you got to be there kind of things, but there's many around the city. I mean, it's a common thing and it's a cultural thing. I mean, it's something that they do, it's a common thing for tourists to do. And the one we went to is less touristy. It's more like, hey, this is where we really go. You want to come with us over here? And you're just like, holy shit,
Yeah.
And
So it's
then,
guys dressing up as ladies, dancing and
Yeah.
singing.
yeah.
Sounds like a fantastic drag show. Like
Yeah.
fantastic, talented performers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I've
And-
seen one of those before. Now that you describe it, I have seen one of those before, and I can 100% say, not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad
It
you
was-
enjoyed yourself, though.
It
That's
was
for sure.
it was fun and funny. And so then a super funny story, quick. We were in the back of the room another time, and I was looking through a staircase and at the bar. And on the bar on the bottom shelf was like a big dick, like with a straw, like cup, right? And then above that, there was a crown, a tiara, like a beautiful tiara. And I took a picture and I got busted taking the picture. Like Kune turned around and I go, Kune, like the penis cup and the tiara, like I had to take a picture. And she looks at me, she gets a smirk, she gives me a wink, and she goes, enlightenment. Like I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I
It
love this
sounds like
picture.
it sounds like you're like your basic kit for a bachelorette party, right?
I was just
Cup,
like
Penis
enlightenment.
cup,
That
a
is-
straw, and a crown.
Yeah, it was perfect. I was just like, this is a perfect moment. I love this moment. I'm planting this in my brain forever.
Hmm.
It was so funny.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Not I, said the cat.
Ah.
I can very much so appreciate that you appreciate it, but I've been to one of those before, and that's not even a little bit for me. In fact,
I've been to
whenever I
one
was-
here and it was fine. The one there is just a
I
whole
think
different
part of the
deal.
problem was it was a surprise show. Didn't know it was coming, so nobody
Ah.
let me know this is what's about to happen to me.
Yeah.
Who you?
And going
Wait, we might
into
need-
yeah, I was on a boat and they gathered us all around. All right, we've got a show coming. And then so, surprise, here's the Lady Boy show, singing and dancing, and I felt violated. That was so involuntary. It would be different if I'd have chose it.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, someone's telling you how you're going to spend your time
Mhm.
in a way that you didn't have any choice. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I hear that.
Look at you and your
All right. And with that, we say adieu.
I do.
Adieu.
adieu.
Farewell. Thank you for listening to That's a Great Point with Alina Doran, Michelle Aalbers, and Lee Smart. To find out more about how we can serve you, check out our links in the show description. Thanks for playing along.